All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to look at how you can read information from a table that you'll need to create a network. And then we're also going to talk a little bit about how you can put information on a table. So don't just think you're going to be reading these straight from the table. The thing that gave most students the most trouble last year on this test was that they didn't know how to put information into the table. So be careful about and make sure you know how those work. It's very simple, but you need to really practice it and make sure you know what's going on. So we're just going to pop over to the book so you can see these. Just looks a little easy, just a little easier from the book. So we're going to be looking at networks from tables. Okay, so remember, we talked a little bit about that. The values or the edges of the networks are called weightings. Remember, we have weighted networks. We did the weights of the networks. And they can be given in the form of a table. So here we go. For example, this chart shows the distances between points. So all you need to do is to read a table. If this one's already completely filled out, all you need to do to read a table is simply find the points that they intersect. So here, they're showing you from point A to D is 19. So just the intersection of the 2 points. And they can look a little bit different. This one has them along the side. Sometimes all the values are along the top and along the sides. So they can look a little different, but the basic way that you're going to read them is the same. And notice that one other thing that messed with students last year is notice that some of the boxes don't have values in them. And the reason for that is those particular places are not connected by an edge. So for example, if you look at this one, B to D, there's no value there. But notice that B and D don't connect by a single edge. So the only ones that have values, like C to D does, right? Because it has a direct connection point. And A to B do, and E to B, but the ones that don't connect directly don't have any values, okay? You just put a little line there, a little dash to indicate that those two don't connect directly. Now, they do connect, but you have to go through another node to get there, and that's not what this is about, okay? So keep that in mind as we go forward, right? And then what you're going to be asked to do is you'll be taking the information from a table and you'll be writing it in on the map. And so all they did, like for example, from B to E, so that intersection right there was 30, so they put 30 kilometers. Make sure you put your units in. You don't need units when you're working on a table, but your table must, and watch out for this because you know how they are, must include the units in the title. So if it's distances in kilometers between points. Okay? So be careful about those units. Right? Let's look at another one. So here's another form of table. So this table has all the names across the top and all the names down at the bottom. And so we're going to just look at the intersections for those. Since they repeat them, you'll notice that this diagonal here is grayed out because that would represent going to the same exact point. So you're going to have little grayed out boxes, or you can just leave those empty. You don't have to gray them out if you don't want to. It makes no difference. Okay? You'll also notice that every bit of the table is a mirror image when it's done this way. For example, if you did the first point here, we did this first point, and I have no idea what these places are, so I can't pronounce them. From Karamia to Westport, Westport's good, okay, is 96. Well, here, Karamia to Westport, so every intersection occurs twice, and they're always right across from each other like this. So 101, 101, 34, 34, okay?
Mr. Self?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Interrupt. Lauren can't get onto the call and was wondering if you could, invite her.
Sure, let me try that real quick. Okay, be careful and make sure that you have your units included, because if you don't, you're not going to be able to answer the question properly. So 18 in this case stands for $18,000. Okay, So be really careful about what units they're using and the information they give you for the chart. Okay? So to draw a network to show this, in other words, we're going to draw the actual network this time, so they're not going to give us a picture for us to use. The first step is to select the node that connects to the largest number of other nodes, and that one's going to be at the center of your network. So for example, if you look at this one only has 2 connections, but this one has 5, this one has 3, this one has 3, that has 3, etc. 1 and 3. So you see that this particular connection, which is B, has 5 connection nodes. So since it has the largest number of nodes, we'll put it at the center. Okay? If you have 2 that have the same amount, just put them both one close to the other. Okay? Because remember, your things can cross. That's fine. So we have B in the center, and then we have all the other ones just around it. Okay? Then what we're going to do is we're going to use our chart to find out which ones connect to B. And again, you can go across or you can go up and down. It makes no difference. They're all the values are there. Okay? So place any remaining nodes to one side and then use the table to add the edges. So notice that if we went from B to A, that's 18, B to C, B to blah, blah, blah. Now, your guide, though, is make sure that everything is connected. So look to see if there are any that don't connect to B. So any of these that are outside have to be accounted for as well. Okay? And again, you can use this side of the chart or you can use this side of the chart. It doesn't matter, but don't try to use them both. Right? Do you see that everything that's on this side is also on that side? So if you're going up and so it doesn't matter which side of the diagonal you use, but just remember that don't try to use all of them, add them together or anything silly like that. Okay? All right. So don't worry about correct lengths as far as drawing them to be 10 inches long or 10 centimeters long. Don't worry about if it's to scale. This could be a long line like that, and it could be 2. Nobody cares, right? It's just a picture. And it can look messy. Look at this one. It crosses over and you have loops everywhere. Perfectly fine. Don't worry about it. What you're worried about is simply making sure that every connection, every edge has a weight.
Comment on what you said about vaccine, what have you. I'll say from the inbox.
So what we're going to do is you're going to be starting off with the table, and then they're going to give you some drawings, some maps that they've already drawn. You're going to fill those out. This one's already drawn. And then they're going to give you some others where they give you the map, the diagram, and you need to complete the table. Okay? So we can look at this, for example. If you have Mexico City to Buenos Aires, it does have a connection there, so that's 7393. So you would just put 7393. But in this kind of table, remember, you need to write it twice because there's a mirror image on the other side. Okay? All right, so that's all you're going to be doing. Just lots of those, and practice them. Again, this was something that caused a lot of trouble for the students last year. So we really need to make sure that you understand what's happening here. So there are a lot of these, but it's not going to take that much time to work on some of them. Okay? Any questions, anybody?
This might be a really dumb question, but in the table, do you put units?
No, not in the table. No, that's no problem. That's a perfectly good question. Oh, sorry, I've gone too far too, because this is not the table. You don't need to put it in the table, but if you make a table, your table should have. There you go. Sorry, your table should have a title, and whatever that title is should have units, right? So this shows the distances in kilometers between some towns or whatever, but usually there's a more specific title for it, and there's where you should use your units. You don't have to worry about units on the table, right? We do have to put units when we put them on the actual map itself? That's a great question. Okay.
Sweet, thanks.
Okay. Anything else? All right. Well then, let me just get you your assignment here. You're just going to do that section. It starts on page 39, and I'm going to assign all of them to you. If you don't do all of them, at least do every other one so that you see something from all of them. I'd really prefer you practice all of them. This looks really easy, but this is a tricky part of it for some people, and it can cause you some trouble when you get to the test. So you really need to practice. I remember, and this is like a merit level skill, and a lot of students miss this, and then they couldn't move on to the excellence questions, so they were only able to get achieved, even though they had a lot of knowledge. So take it seriously. Okay? All right.